And we're live.
With Greg. What's happening?
Another tricky day.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Technical difficulties.
Location difficulties.
Location issues.
Yeah.
You know, that's life. That's the film business. That's everything.
It is.
You know, a lot of people have location issues with where they live.
Yeah.
You know, they're not happy with it or whatever. They think it, which I think you ultimately live in your head. You don't live in like San Francisco. You live in your head that's in San Francisco. So people think a geography change will change their life or their spirit or their attitude. But if you have to work on up here, you know. Because no matter where you are, I have a wealthy friend that said he was in Hawaii and he was at he had a penthouse. He's really wealthy. And it's like he was miserable. And he realized, like, wait, I'm in Hawaii, but I'm in my head that's in Hawaii. And if you don't clear that up, then it doesn't matter where you are, you know. You're going to feel the same.
So what do you do to clear your head?
I think you have to, I think gratitude helps. I think, you know, being grateful, looking at what you do have, you know, the glass half full, you know, theory. It works. Like, also have a worldview. You know, you have to have a worldview of like, okay, you know, the other world's population, like half of them don't have clean water or, you know, sanitation. So it's like, well, I have that, you know, and I have a phone and I have a car or whatever you have, you know, you're already leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of people. So you have to take a step back. It's really easy to get into the privileges of America and be so like, well, I need this and I need that and I don't have this and I don't have that. But if you put yourself against, you know, people that are really lacking, you can realize like, well, wait a minute. I have like leaps and bounds more than the average person in this country or that country. And you have to be grateful and appreciate that and try to enjoy moments, you know, day by day. And a lot of people, I think, live life in like 5 years, the 5-year plan or the 5 years from now. And a lot of people hit me up about what goals did you set or New Year's resolutions? I'm like, 1 year I didn't, like my best year, I had no resolutions. I was like, I don't care. I don't have anything. I have no expectations for this year. And it was a great year and a lot of things happened. So I'm not a goal person because goals can lead to disappointments and then people get so caught up in, I didn't hit that goal. I'm 40 or I'm 50 or I'm 45 and I had these goals and I didn't hit them in life, and they get depressed and they get disappointed. And so I don't believe in that. You know, I think a day is a goal. What's my goal? I'm going to make it to bed today, go to sleep, wake up and go back at it tomorrow. That's a goal. I don't know. I'm just different. I don't like, people are so goal oriented and they feel like you have to have it or you won't achieve it. It's like, you know, I live life like opposite. Like I'm waiting to see what it presents me instead of what I present it, if that makes sense.
A little bit. You've got your feet in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that moment when you've put a lot of energy into like an audition and they look at you and go, nah, you're not the right guy?
Well, luckily I worked in the casting side and I know it has nothing to do with me or my gifts or my talents, or it could be my hair color, it could be my eye color, it could be I'm playing the brother of somebody and I don't look like him. It could be they already gave it to Ryan Gosling. It could be, you know what I mean? Like there's another actor, or you can't get into the rhyme or reason of it. Yeah, you get bummed on things you're close on and you're like, oh man, that would have been cool to do. But then, you know, it wasn't for you and there's other experiences. And I also think that you can take a break and walk away, and it shows your strength and power, because Hollywood is just a big machine. It keeps going. You can leave, you come back, it's the same thing. It doesn't change much, you know, but you have to protect yourself. And I tell actors that all the time, like, just enjoy it. Enjoy the journey of whatever it is. Because I see so many disheartened actors and discouraged and down, and because this didn't happen or that didn't happen. And I hear actors say, oh, I'll give it 2 years or 3. Well, what needs to happen in 2 years? A commercial, a movie? Some, they booked a play and a commercial. Is that enough? Or do you need a big movie? Or do you, what are you giving 2 years to? It's if you want to act in Hollywood, it's a life decision. It's like, like 50 Cent would get his movie Get Rich or Die Trying. It's like, get an acting job or die trying getting one, and it's like a marriage. It's a lifelong commitment. It's a relationship. Love, hate, better or worse.
Richer or poor.
It's richer or poor. It's vows. How you're married. If you want to, if you want it, you got to be willing to put a ring on Hollywood and say, look, richer or poor, better or worse, we're doing this, and that took me years. Like I came in like everybody else, like, stardom and big and Oscars, and it's like, then 15 years in, I'm like, I take a step back and I call it's the Hollywood casino. I've realized that sometimes it has nothing to do with your talent or where you studied, or it's, you're a doctor, you get a USC medical degree, you can go work in any hospital or ER room or whatever. Whereas you get an acting degree, you don't know if you're going to be the next, Ryan Gosling or not, or George Clooney. Like, you just don't know. It's all right time, right place, right role, right character. There's things that have nothing to do with you. Those are all variables. It's like playing the lotto or gambling or roulette or dice or poker. You're just playing a hand in Hollywood, and you're hoping that, you're a better bluffer.
So when's the last time you experienced a true doubt, true end of the rope?
End of the rope. I don't know if I've been at the end of the rope. I think as I've gotten older, you flirt with the end of the rope. It's a fun date or flirting.
You're married, but you're gonna flirt with darkness.
Yeah, you're married, but you want a little attention. That's a touchy subject. I had a friend who was an actor, and he jumped off the bridge in Pasadena and he committed suicide. And he booked some, man. He had the career everybody would want. Like, he was the face of Tommy Hilfiger, the face of Polo, Louis Vuitton. He did big studio films. Was an actor in all of them. And he just got older, and he was very big on age. And I think people need to stop being so age conscious. And I think age is a state of mind. If you feel 30, be 30. And I don't like people that look down, oh, well, he acts like a kid, or he's a big kid. Well, good for him, because we all know as adults that childhood was the best time. Nobody told us that secret. I wish my parents would have said, hey, look, stay there, enjoy this, because it's going to be the best time of your life. Adulting, as they call it, isn't as fun as being a kid, where these grown-ups have all the responsibilities, and they're handling the rent and the bills, and you're just like, I just have to play with my toys. That's it. My only job, do my homework, play with my toys. So, it's a sensitive subject. I try to help people with it. For me, I saw parents, I've been around suicide, and I saw parents' reactions and families and destroy people. So for me, from my mind to even go anywhere near there, you think of your mom, you think of people, you're not even entertaining it, because you're the pain it causes, because you can literally kill them. And I feel like my friend, I was like, he might as well have dragged his dad was 70. You might as well take your dad off the bridge with you, because he's dead. He may be alive and enjoying the moments he can, but inside you're dead, because it wasn't a car accident, it wasn't a murder, it wasn't a fluke. It was control. But then at the same time, I have sympathy for somebody that gets that far, and I feel for them to be in that type of pain. I'm like, it must have been really bad. It must have been that bad. Very overwhelming. So I have sympathy on both sides of the conversation, you know. But yeah, it's touchy, man, and you know, it's well, you have kids, like it's different, you know. My friend didn't have children. Everybody was talking about all his friends have kids and stuff and married. If you have kids, like you live for your kids, and I haven't experienced that, but you obviously have kids, and it's the most selfless thing you can do is be a parent, because it's not about you. Your life, your job, your making income has nothing to do with you. It's not about, oh, where am I going to go and spend the money for my paycheck? Where am I going to go have pleasure and enjoy myself? And it's, wait, where's my kids going to go to school? Where are they going to go live? Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? You know? And that's why I stay open to that. I would want to be a parent, because I even take, after seeing a lot of great parents around me, I'm like, am I selfish? Do I just live this selfish life of like, what do I want to eat today? And I want to go get a massage, and I want to, you know, drink whatever I want. And you know, if I was a parent, it's like, what do they want? What do they need? What do you know? You take it off yourself, which I believe can be very therapeutic and necessary. I've seen some people saved by having children. Before, they were very selfish, very into their head, very heady, and then they had a kid, and they realized, oh shit, I don't have time to be about myself, or what am I feeling today? I have to think about this young life, this human being that I have to take care of and nurture. You know, I could be suicidal, I could be down, but I don't have time to know whether I'm down or not. Whereas people who are single and don't have children have time to think. They're like, what went wrong with my life? What went right? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? What are my goals? What did I plan? What didn't happen? What were my failures? Whereas, like, as a parent, it's like your success and failure is in raising that child, you know. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think that's what it's all about. I think kids can save people's lives, because it puts a mirror on them and says, hey, it's not about you anymore. You know, get off your pity party and, you know, help this kid get to school and have a good life that you may not have had or had, you know.
So you said you sometimes question for yourself, are you a selfish being because you are single and have been, and but there's two things in my head about that. One is your talk about gratitude. Yeah. And that seems just healthy for anyone. Yeah. To find gratitude, even as their mind is going into the worst scenarios and they're playing out their failures, quote unquote. Yeah. You know, but to have gratitude. And also, I see selflessness in your success. Your success, not just in the film industry and entertainment industry, but even, you know, you're up here with other business, comes from a selfless place, that success, because your thought process is, how can this entity succeed?
I never thought of it that way, but that is interesting. And I also think about, you always got to catch yourself, like, who am I loving today? Who is in my life that I can love? Because that's obviously the most powerful thing on earth is love. You can't see it. You don't know what it looks like under a microscope, but you've felt it and have seen it. And part of trying to get away from the selfishness is, do I have time to love on somebody in some way, a friend, a family member, and chasing it? And I felt, for me personally, like, it's like I have to catch myself of like, oh, I need to, like, I have people to love. There is people to love on. But for me, I've lost a lot of people, obviously, like family, my dad, my brother, one of my best friends who I just mentioned. And so you get this, like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't love somebody too much, or like, be careful because they could be gone tomorrow, or like, you're going to get attached or whatever. But then the other side of you is like the side you're wrestling with is like, what's the saying, it's better loved and lost than not unloved at all. And you wrestle with that. It's a wrestling match of like, you know what, F it, do it anyway. Just love on them anyway. Appreciate them anyway. Do things for them anyway. Not wanting anything in return and not expecting them to live to be 90. And that's the hard thing. And that's like more of like for me, sometimes I say you end up when you talk and people ask you questions like what you're doing, you end up preaching to yourself and you're like, oh, I never thought of that, but it came out of my mouth. But for me, it's like, it all comes down to like, do it anyway. And despite the bad results you've seen, because I've seen a lot of bad, tragic endings and results, and it's like, do it anyway. And the results are the results, and at least again, I go back to that quote's very powerful. It's better loved and lost than not loved at all, because then that's not fun, and there's moments you can't take back or you can't get back, like when you have kids, so like when they first run into your arms, you haven't seen them in a while, they missed you, they missed their dad, they missed their mom, that's love. That's things you can't put a price on, you can't put a feeling on it, you can't put a lot of things on it, and you have to go back to the basics. Always, in my mind, I have to go back to the basics. Okay, forget the situation you're in, what do you have? Because a lot of people don't ask that. They always focus on what don't I have. I don't drive the car that I want. I don't live in the neighborhood I wanted to. I don't have the boyfriend or girlfriend I wanted to. Well, what do you have? Well, I have a studio apartment. That's something. I have a TV. I don't have cable, but I have Netflix. Cool. I don't have, the career or job I want, but you have a job. I'm not making the money I want, but you have money. It's like you have to just, simple, man. You just, even this year I had a rough year, and it's like, when it's slow, you're just like, I'm so simplified that it's like anything tickles my feather. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, a sit down dinner, 3-course meal, great.
I think I even saw one of your social media posts of your feet in the fountain.
Yeah.
And it looked like you were just loving that moment.
Yeah, and that's what I post. I post moments on my social media because I feel like I want people to have insight on what I'm looking at. I've always been that way. Before social media, I catch myself because I'm always like, when I first did movies in Mexico and we started going to the studio where they did Titanic, I'd be there and I'd be like, oh man, I wish my brother could see this. Oh man, I wish my girlfriend could see this. Oh, I wish so-and-so was with me. I wish somebody was with me to just witness this. And maybe that's selflessness. Maybe that's just how I'm built, of like, I want somebody to see this with me. It's not about me just seeing it. I need people to experience this with me. That's probably why I throw a lot of parties and why, we started the film program in Mexico, and I brought so many friends down and actors down and people down, including yourself, because I'm like, you got to see what I'm seeing. You got to experience what I'm experiencing. You got to eat what I'm eating. And I think that's me in a nutshell. I don't have as much fun. Like, I enjoy going ahead and seeing something new that nobody's seen, or that a lot of people I know haven't seen, but I enjoy more showing. I'm a shower. Like, I like touring. And, I'm a pretty good host, I like to think. Like when you're in Mexico, like I wanted to, here's the breakfast spot. This place has the best tacos. This place has the best lobster. Like, I'm into that. Like, I like taking people to my favorite restaurant there or anywhere. And like being like, even in Hollywood, I've discovered new spots, and I love taking people to that spot. And all my friends there are like, man, all you talk about is, I was like, I find something, discover a new spot, and I just have to like nail it into people. Hey, come here. You got to see this. You got to check it out. And a lot of people, enjoy that. And I had a friend, and there's a spot in Hollywood. It's called Lono, and it's all Hawaiian themed. And it's like right on Hollywood Boulevard in the tourist trap spot where it's not as glamorous. And I was like, you gotta come to like, it's such a good vibe. They do the like tiki drinks they light it on fire, and it's like Hawaii, and there's a vibe, and nobody believes me because it's on this bad, not so glamorous spot. But it's also by Musa and Frank, which is a famous grill, famous restaurant, high end. But anyway, I brought a friend that lives in Beverly Hills and drives like, I don't know, $500,000 car, picks me up in a $500,000 car. We're going to Lono. Okay, it's in Hollywood. I don't really hang out there. Well, just come with me. Trust me. And that night, the DJ, like, we got there, and the DJ was playing, like, Britney Spears via 1999 and, like, all these throwback and cool songs. And this person was like, this is awesome. Like, they're playing the cool music. And then there was this guy that came there that was, like, 75, 80. He spun her around and dipped her and twirled her, and she like was laughing the whole time, like had fun. And this is somebody that goes to like mansion parties in the high-end society of Beverly Hills with the richest of the rich, and just had fun coming to a simple place like that. And that's what, for me, I like to show people, like, it's not always about like the glitz and the glamour and Hollywood life, or like the finer things in life, as they call them. Sometimes the simpler things in life are more finer than the finer things in life. And could be your favorite dive bar, your some little 2-for-1 spot special, but it's not. Then you realize it's not really about the place, it's about who you're with and who you're around. Like last summer, I went out all summer with a group of girls, and we go to like cool Malibu spot, all these spots. And then I just like one day I think it was a holiday or something. I was like, let's just barbecue by my pool. And like, I had a little Bluetooth speaker box and play good music. And we did that. And they were like, this is the most fun I've had all summer. And it was the cheapest thing to do. It's just get a speaker box with a Bluetooth, hang by the pool with people you care about that you get along with, barbecue on the grill, and just enjoy each other's company. Whereas I feel like when you go to like events in Hollywood or certain spots, it's like these girls probably have to be, oh, how do I look? Do I look better than her? Am I dressed right? Politics, who's going to see me? Who's not going to see me? Is my ex going to be there? There's all these pressures. How do I look? Do I look better than her or him or whatever? It's all these pressures of going out in Hollywood, where if I bring you to my pool, all that goes away. Nobody's going to see you there. There's no pressure. So they're able to be themselves, enjoy, like listen to the good music, control the music. It's also about control, which I have control issues. But like, if I control the music, I know where to get people like going and what song brings back memories. And whereas if you go to a spot and pay $15 for a drink, they're controlling the music. You're paying all that money and they get to play what they want to play, even if you don't like it or it doesn't bring back a memory or a feeling for you. So I like to set the mood, control the environment. In fact, for my one birthday, all I wanted to do was MC my own birthday. That's like that year. I was like, it was like 2 years ago. I was like, I just want to MC my own birthday. I want to play the music, control the music. I want to give people shout outs as they walk in the door, like, hey, it's Greg from the Bay, and make them feel welcome. And I rented out this spot in Koreatown where they had like karaoke usually, but they had this like 70-person room, and with a microphone and a Bluetooth, and you just wired it to your phone, and I had the mic and I could give people shout outs, control the music. And that's all I wanted to do. Like, I didn't want to like be in the party. Like, I wanted to MC the party, because I had MC'd a lot of birthdays and weddings, and I was like, I want to do my own birthday. Like, I get to like MC my own birthday. That's fun. So, but that's just how I think,
So have you found ways to traverse the high-end glitz of Hollywood and Southern California with a Zen mindset?
Yeah. It takes time, but you eventually realize people are people, We all have the basic needs and wants and desires. And even if you're the biggest star in Hollywood or the richest or the poorest or whatever, we all have these basic needs and wants. And, we're all stimulated by similar things, and that's how you separate the glitz. It's like, you know, we're all just people, whether you have an Oscar or not. You still have insecurities. Like some of the biggest actors that have the awards, you're on set with them and they have the biggest insecurities, and you're like, dude, you won like awards for what you do, and you're insecure about your work. So you realize to take it with a grain of salt. You know, everything with a grain of salt. And the guy that my brother works with, it was a close family friend of ours, John Kirby, he said that he takes every relationship in Hollywood with a grain of salt, because you don't know how close you're going to be later, or, you know, you're close now, or that, you know, you don't know if they're praising you one day, the next day they're not talking to you. You know what I mean? It's feast or famine town, and you're on top one day, you're on the bottom. So just take it with a grain of salt, enjoy it while it's there and why it's not. If you can stay the same kilter and just be appreciative and gratitude, then you can have fun there. It should be fun. And I tell actors, it's like, you should be having fun. And I forgot to have fun because of the stress of auditions and lines and blowing an audition and getting work, and you haven't worked in 6 months, like all that stuff. But then like you're in this city that has beaches and mountains and like the best food in the world, like anything you want, hot yoga, cold yoga, room temp yoga,
crazy stories.
You know, crazy stories, mountains, deserts, like snow is not that far away. Like you're in this great town with so many people from so many different walks of life and personalities and background. Like if you don't enjoy that, you missed out, man. You just like, I don't know what to tell you. You're caught up in it. And I've been there. Like Hollywood is a bubble. They say it's a bubble, and I firmly believe that, because when I'm there, I don't know what's going on in the rest of the world and the country. It's like you're there. There's no ageism there. You can be, you know, I have buddies that are 60 years old. They walk into a bar and nobody looks at them funny. You walk into a bar in Boise, Idaho, they're like, who's this grandpa doing here? But in Hollywood, it's like, oh, he's cool, or he has a cool jacket, or I like his gray hair. I want my salt and pepper beard like that one day, like Clooney, or like, you know what I mean? It's like there's no ageism. There's some sexism, but there's not a lot of ageism. They don't really look down on you for your age in Hollywood, which is cool, because then you can, you know, that's why they call it Neverland. They never grow up, because nobody's there to say, hey, you're old. You shouldn't be doing that. You know, which if you really want to get deep, that's where classism, racism, it all stem from somebody saying something to somebody and saying, you're this and you're that. And when you take that away, like in Hollywood, people can just thrive, and they don't have to feel old or young or rich or poor, you know. The parts I don't like is that designer. I don't like the designer thing. Like, she has Gucci, I should wear Gucci. Kylie Jenner does this Fendi bag, I want that Fendi bag. I want those Louis shoes. Like, I'm anti like fashion. If you charge, you know, $1,000 for a t-shirt, I think you should be arrested. Like, it's just not fair. Like, there's people, half the world doesn't have clothing and water and food, and you're wearing $1,000 t-shirt. And is that designer taking that money that they're making off of you? Are they hanging out on their yachts all the time? Are they philanthropy? You know, what are they doing? I know I hit you with a lot.
Well, that goes into a deep
dive
because, you know, from a business perspective, as a filmmaker, if you have a finished film and someone says, I'll give you $12 million for that, and you're like, it's worth, you know, at the best 1.2, considering what we put into it.
Yeah.
But this person's offering me 12. Are you going to say to him, you know what, how about 1.2 instead?
No, that's capitalism. I mean, that's the society we live in, is capitalistic. Right. But that doesn't happen. Like, you have a better shot at winning the lottery, as you know. Like,
right.
Somebody's overpaying for your film never, like, rarely happens.
So that, in that sense, that $1,000 t-shirt is $1,000 because someone's buying it. Not just someone, a bunch of people are buying it.
So my thing with that is, the people that are buying it aren't wealthy, but the people that make it are. So the people that aren't wealthy are making people that shouldn't be wealthy. So, you know, people, because of music, Gucci's, you know, said brands are setting music, social media influencers, the Kardashians, whatever. Not to say they're the only ones doing it, but like that person working at Target living in poverty they get a $500 check, they spend all of it on a Gucci bag and live poor, and, you know, probably don't have central air or AC, and that money then helps some guy that invented that Gucci bag live on a yacht in the middle of France and have an amazing lifestyle because some poor person spent their last dime on your Louis bag. And that's what I don't like about capitalism, and that's what I don't like about this country is, and Hollywood, we're the most influential, especially in fashion, influential city in the world. And I just think fashion, I used to go to fashion shows and stuff, and I don't want to knock everybody because like Tom's shoes, you know, Tom's shoes, they think 20% or a percentage goes towards helping fight hunger, gun sense. Like they're using fashion for a greater cause. I don't know that Gucci is, maybe they are, and I don't know it, but to charge $1,000 for a t-shirt I think is irresponsible to mankind. It's like, what are you doing with that money if you're just drinking better champagne than everybody and on a bigger boat and a yacht than everybody? You're not really doing much for society. You just look cool because you made a t-shirt that somebody's willing to pay $1,000 for. That's my problem. I wrestle with the fashion world.
To bring it back to the beginning, we're living in our mind. It's what you said at the beginning of this. And what it seems like is every individual you've touched upon, the person creating the shirt, the person who's in essence in poverty buying the shirt, yourself, your opinion of it, still living in the mind. So perhaps that person who bought the shirt could be in total bliss. They don't care about central heating and air conditioning. They don't care about having a car. They're just damn glad they've got this $1,000 Gucci t-shirt.
Show their friends. That's a good point. It's in your mind, you know. If that makes them happy, God bless them. I mean, but I can't, my mind doesn't think, my mind has to think big picture and like grand world view of scope of things. That's why like I have family members that live like on farms, like in the middle of nowhere, and I can't ever like, it'd be unfair of me to have them think the way I think or expect them to believe what I believe or have the same political views or world views because they never traveled the world. They only see chickens and cows every day. I see skyscrapers and diverse communities and like all kinds of stuff, but they at the same time can't expect to know me and who I am and my thought process because they've never experienced what I experience, you know. And you know, it's the whole walk a mile in someone's shoes, you know, type thing. And you know,
how do you think we can walk a mile in someone else's shoes? Listening to their stories, but you also can't, I don't like when somebody, because they read or heard or seen or whatever, has a judgment or opinion on something. Like, you know, working in Mexico, I hear so many things, and then I ask the person, have you been there before? No. Well, I don't know, I've been there for 10 years, I've been working there for 10 years, like, wouldn't you trust what I'm saying more? Or like, well, I heard this and I read this and I saw on the news, and it's like, well, okay, but have you been there? And I try to, for myself, try not to be ignorant on anything. Like, I don't want to, like, you know, even like a dating app where I'm like, it's stupid, you're going on a dating app. I don't need a dating app. I'm going to go do the dating app so I'm not ignorant to you when you tell me, hey, I'm on Tinder, and I'll be like, oh, Tinder's stupid. I can then have an opinion on Tinder myself because I did try it and experienced it. So I try in life not to be ignorant to anything and not have a judgment if I don't know about something. Like, I can't tell you about, you know, you live in Mill Valley. Like, I could have read something about Mill Valley. I could have
saw something on TV about it. I could have met one person from Mid Valley and had a bad experience, but I can't make a judgment on Mill Valley. You can, because you live there, and I can listen to you about where you live and gain knowledge and understanding and walk in your shoes for a little bit and understand where you are. I think the biggest way to walk in somebody's shoes is find out where they come from and how they're raised, and what tragedies, what's the good, bad, and ugly that's happened in their life. Because then you really get to walk in their shoes a little bit and understand them. Because you're not just the way you are, because, we're a product of our environment and our time here on earth.
The spiritual practice you have in your life.
Yeah.
Do you think that has the ability to supersede the biology environment in which we're raised?
Yeah, I believe in everything. Everything needs to have moderation, including spirituality, which probably a lot of people wouldn't agree with me on that. But you have to have a balance. You have to have spiritual correct. It's important. It helps. It keeps you on track and on pace. But then you also have to have rationality. Rationality is important too. Logic, you need a balance of logic and spirituality, in my opinion. That's where I look at it. I think growing up we had so much spirituality, we didn't go in logic and reason enough, tap into that enough to save ourselves from some tragedies and bad things that happen. So you can't be totally delusional. You can't be so spiritual that you forget you live in a human world with human beings and things happen, and you know what I mean? You have to find that common ground where you rely on spirituality for the tough times and to help others and do good things. But then you have to have logic and reason, because that helps people too.
Yeah. I was just thinking about David in the Bible, in the Psalms and all that. And I was thinking how he was saying, I will fear no evil, and also calling out to God to help with his enemies and stuff. And I thought he was doing all that in a cave.
Yeah.
So like you're saying, he was hiding.
Yeah.
He was afraid for his life, and he wasn't in his palace praying. He was hiding in a cave.
Yeah. So
that spoke to me what you just said. There's a physical practicality to what's real.
Yeah. And also, back to walk a mile in someone's shoes, I think if I did that, your shoes are fit to your feet. They're worn into your feet. I'm not going to feel the same things you felt. And that's what I've learned too. It's easy to say, oh, well, that happened to me, or get over it, or, what's the big deal? But you can't tell somebody how to feel about a situation, which we try to do all the time. You have to be sympathetic, and that's what I try to be no matter what. And I'm almost intrigued by the person that everybody doesn't like, if that makes sense. I want to know why nobody likes them. Why is nobody understanding them? The person that, and I get along with them the best. Some of my closest friends are people that are they had to cut people out of their life and are a little bit confrontational, because I understand them and I took the time to understand them. And that's the best gift you can give somebody, is taking the time to understand somebody. You can buy them, whatever, cars, nice clothes, but if you don't take the time to understand them, that means your kids too. If you don't take the time to understand your kids, you can buy them whatever you want. It doesn't mean anything, That's the best gift you can give somebody, is understanding.
That's it. Wow, that's beautiful. Is there anything else you'd like to bring up?
No, man. But you're because I'm also about safety and comfortability. Because I feel safe and comfortable, because I've known you for a while and I know your mentality and I've heard a lot of your beliefs and thoughts and stuff. I think I feel comfortable in this environment with you too, because I don't get asked this every day. These are things I'm living every day, and you don't think about them, and they're just passive things in your head that you're just doing. then when somebody interviews you or talks about it and questions it, then you start learning your beliefs by being asked questions. That's why it's important to question people and listen, like ask questions and listen, because a lot of us don't know. We have these things in us that we believe and we feel, but we've never been put on the spot about them or asked about them. And I think it's good. I think debate's healthy. People may confuse it with arguing or argument. I think healthy debate is amazing. When two people, especially two people the opposite aisle, opposite sides, it's like I get along with everybody. I like opposition. I like difference. I want to understand why they think the way they think. And you can't be afraid of that. And you also can't make it hostile. Like, you know, if someone supports a political figure you don't support, like you can't just write them off and be like, well, you like that guy, so I can't talk to you. Because you'd be surprised, you know, people have different reasons, and people can change their mind, you know, and you'll never change somebody's mind by arguing. It's never worked. And, you know, unless I read a different history book, I've never seen where arguing worked and changed somebody's mind and got somebody's attention. But respect will. That's my number one thing. Respect will change somebody's mind.
That's what I was just thinking about and listening.
Yeah.
Like I've been in heated debates, I would say.
Yeah.
Where, however, there's mutual respect throughout the whole thing. Yeah. And there's listening involved. Yeah. So when it starts spiraling out of control, where I'm no longer listening to you. Yeah. And I'm stuck in my position. Nothing's
happening.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I think about like when Jimmy Kimmel interviewed those people about health insurance and like Obamacare. When he said the Affordable Care Act, they're like, we love that. I like Affordable Care Act. Whereas, you know, Republicans put a name on it, Obamacare. I hate Obamacare because they put a name and a face to it. Whereas they all had it and they didn't know they had it and liked it. But because there was a tampering and putting a name on it. And even when I spent time in the South, you know, I don't like the redneck, whatever you want to call it, a Southern guy, buddy of mine, great guy. We disagree obviously on everything, but before he knew that, he respected me because I spent time with him and I treated him like a decent person. Where somebody might have called him, you know, a conservative, a whatever, you know, semi-racist, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, like the reputation most people have in the South, he respected me from our friendship. And we never talked politics. And then he brought something up about health insurance. I said, oh, well, I have Affordable Care Act. Like, I like it. I enjoy it. California Exchange Grant. Well, we're paying for it. And he gave me all these things. And I'm like, well, if you feel like you're paying for it, I don't think you've ever gotten a bill for my health insurance. So you're not really paying for my insurance. But if you feel that way, take advantage of it. And he ended up signing his wife up for it because he could, because she didn't work for his company. And, you know, but I don't think he ever would have done that if I was just confrontational and called him racist or something stupid. I would never got his respect to change his mind. The only way to defeat prejudice is to change people's mind. The only way to change somebody's mind is you have to get their respect. And the only way to get their respect is not to be confrontational. You have to break bread. You have to just, you know, not be so sensitive. Because we live in a very sensitive climate, you know, and it's our reactions. Warren Buffett said it. I saw a Warren Buffett quote today, something like, don't take things personal, don't get emotionally involved, sit back, breathe, process. And he's like, your life will be better for it if you just sit back and process. And that's what I've always been. I've been a processor. You could call me every name in the book right now, and I'd be like, why is Greg... I wouldn't even react. I just think, like, why is Greg in this mood? why would he call me that? Is Greg okay? Greg, what have you been doing? Where is this coming from? And if you ask somebody where it's coming from, they'll tell you. Eventually they'll calm down. They'll say, sorry, man, my wife just left me and my dog's sick and I just feel pressure from my boss at work and I didn't mean to take it out on you. Or, even homophobia. Well, the neighbor, I had a neighbor that man, he touched me funny or whatever, you know what I mean? They all have, homophobia, things like that. It comes from a place. Race, it all comes from a place. It's genetic, it's DNA. And if you can find out what place that's coming from, you can understand somebody more, not to validate it or make it right, but you understand why they are the way they are, and you're able to show them something different. But to simplify it, it's respect. If you can get people to respect you, they'll watch what you do on social media, everywhere, and they'll be like, he has a diverse group of friends. He goes out with girls from, different backgrounds, and get their respect, and then they'll watch you, and they're all watching, and because you can make it cool. You can make inclusion cool. You can make integration cool. You can make, donating to charity or philanthropy cool. Treating women respectfully cool. Non-misogyny cool by how you handle yourself. But nobody's going to watch if they don't respect you. And that's why I always try to get the respect of somebody. That's my number one thing. No matter who it is. Me and this guy, he was a criminal defense attorney, and me and him on the gun rights issue were so polar opposites. And he was an NRA carrying card member, but then I listened to him, and some of his stuff made sense, and I got why it was. Now he was he's African American criminal defense attorney, and I was like, why do you have an NRA card? He goes, my parents grew up where we barely had voting right. We had no right. There's a group that at least is fighting for one of our amendment rights. And they don't care. They're not just fighting for white, black, blue, red. Everybody's rights to do that. And I was like, I get it. And he goes, we've always, as a black community, we've always had to protect ourselves. And that's the only way I feel protected and safe, is by having my Second Amendment rights. I stepped back and I said, okay. I get why I get that. I respect that. I respect that he felt like at least some group in this country where we've never felt welcome or all the civil rights, the Civil War, all this crap. He felt like one group was like, we don't care what color you are, you get that right, and we're gonna fight for you to have that right. And it made sense to me, and I was like, okay, I get it. I'm not going to change my mind completely on the subject matter. I have my own qualms with it and things, but for him, he explained why. It wasn't just it's America, we can just tote guns and shoot. It's the Wild Wild West. It's he was like, this is my specific, and he's a criminal justice lawyer. He goes, this is my specific reasons why I carry this card. And I was like, you got me, man. Because I've never walked on my own shoes. I can't be him. So if that's how he felt pressure. And see, I don't live life like somebody's coming to get me. You know what I mean? I can't live my life like that. I can't live my life in all that fear. There's enough fears and anxieties that go around. It's I can't live my life in somebody's coming to get me. Somebody is after me. Because if I live life like that, it's not fun to me anymore. Then I'm always looking out my window. So for me, not needing that type of self-defense protection to me is more freedom. That's just me. I feel more free with that. I feel you know, I'm this unarmed guy, peaceful guy. If you take my life, you know what, God bless you. You deserved it, because you really earned it. Because I'm not trying to attack you. I don't have anything to attack you with. You know, and there's more freedom in that. Just for me, in my opinion, what I've experienced is fear. You know, fear is what gives people anxiety and leaves them awake at night, and you just slowly have to get rid of the fear out of your life. Not that you don't have to. I don't believe in people are like, be fearless. Well, I don't believe in fearless. Walk across traffic, fearless. Like, you have to have some common sense and rationality to it. But I think you can be fearless in, I'm going to go after that job that I didn't think I could get.
Right.
I'm going to move to that city that I know nobody in. Be fearless in that way.
Right.
I'm not going to worry about my kids at night. You know, I'm not going to not let them play t-ball because I'm afraid they'll get hit in the head with a baseball. Like, that type of fearlessness. But, you know, I think a little, and here's my thing on anxiety, because I've wrestled with it. I think everybody after 30, I think it's just part of your life. I mean, I lost my dad, and I had he had a heart attack, and I had this whole, like, I didn't even know what anxiety was or a panic attack, and I had one on a plane, and it was just all in your head. And, you know, I don't think anxiety is healthy or good, but a little bit is.
You really think so?
You need a little edge. You need a little work ethic. Like, it's part of your work ethic. It's like, oh, if I don't get this done, I got to get this done tomorrow. Because if you're just thoughtless about everything, how do you accomplish anything?
It could be,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be just the way we define the word. Because when we were in Loretto and we needed a yacht, I would say frantic is the word comes to mind of how I was each day looking for a yacht.
Yeah.
I'd say the difference was from anxiety. Anxiety to me has a hopelessness to it. That's part of what's creating anxiety. The fear is coming from a place of it's important that it happens and it's not going to happen. It's important that it is a certain way and it's not going to be that way. And with that...
Yeah, imagine if you were thoughtless about it, just like, it'll figure itself out tomorrow. We'll get one. Well, you have to have a little bit of edge about it of like, okay, I got to think about this tomorrow. Like, I got to call this guy and I got to get the boat and I got to... But if you're just passive completely about it, nothing gets done. So you have to have a little edge to you. And people that have struggled with anxiety, they don't like when they see their family members on Xanax or something. It takes the edge off, but completely off. And they don't have that spark of life anymore. It's just everything's just kind of bland, you know. So I think you have to have a little bit, like... Being a parent, I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety, but you have to have a little bit about my kids going to the park and there's dangers there, and you got to have a little bit of cautiousness. You have to have cautiousness. I don't like to call it anxiety. I call it cautiousness because things happen and you don't want, you want to do the best you can and be able to say,
Do you think love and fear can coexist?
Love and fear.
Because you said earlier...
Like being in love with somebody, but being afraid to be in love with them? Or
no. Earlier you said love is ultimately what it's all about.
Yeah.
So can love and fear coexist?
Yeah, because I can love someone but be afraid of losing them.
Are you really loving them in that?
Yeah, I think... you can fear that something will happen to them, and I haven't come to the conclusion that that's unhealthy, because otherwise you love them but you don't fear for their life, or you're not concerned about them getting on a plane, or I don't know. I think then again, like, the definition of love is patient, kind, long-suffering,
Gives, doesn't take.
Gives, doesn't take. Love and fear, that's a good question. Love and fear. You have to love somebody, though, unconditionally and fearlessly, or it won't work. You won't enjoy it. You won't enjoy the whole point of love if you love somebody with fear and conditions.
Have you experienced any relationship in your life where there was no fear?
Well, I'd be married if I did that.
I can tell you as one who was married.
Yeah,
didn't exist.
The fear.
Yeah.
You know, I have certain friends that I just kind of like, I just accept them and love them for who they are and just, you know, don't care. I guess that's a version of loving somebody fearlessly. Like, I'm not afraid. I think that's true love. That's when you know you're in love. You're like, it was in a movie once. He's like, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you to hurt my feelings. I'm not afraid of you to love me, not love me. He says, I'm not afraid of you to hurt my feelings. I think it was a Notebook or one of those movies. He's like, I'm not afraid of you to hurt my feelings. Like, I'm not scared anymore. And to your point, it's like, that's real love. It's like when you're not afraid of the other person hurting you. I mean, what can happen, you know? It's ultimately their choice. If you're living love fearlessly, it's the other person's choice to fear. And only they can ruin it, and not, like, you're not going anywhere. They can leave you. You can never leave them because you love them fearlessly. So, you know, yeah, I've learned, man, growing, like, as I get older, like, and just, like I said, like, where you're like, oh, well, I don't have the house I wanted, but I have a studio apartment, like looking at the glass half full and just being optimistic and grateful for what you do have. I could be like, oh, I don't have wife or the love of my life, but I got a good female friend that I can love unconditionally, fearlessly, as if she was my wife, or like, you know, learn that we're all human, we all have flaws, and just accept people for who they are. And that's cool to me. Like, that's where I'm at in my life. It's like, you know, not everybody has to be my girlfriend or wife. Like, I can just have a good friend and, like, accept them for who they are and love them for who they are, like, despite whether people like it or not, and you know their weaknesses. I have friends, I know all their flaws. I tell them about it. Like, we know it's a joke. It's a running joke of, you know, I think a lot of girls get hangry, like hungry and angry. And it's like, yeah, she's just hangry. But if I took it personal all the time, like, oh, why is she angry or why is she moody? It's like, you know, oh, no, she's just hangry. She doesn't eat. Just get her a Hot Pocket and she'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. Like, you just have to constantly look at what you do have. It should be a book. That's my next book. What do you have? Because everybody, Americans are guilty. They always love to tell you what they don't have, what didn't work out for them in life. Well, motherfucker, what do you have? You got an iPhone X. That's pretty cool. You got an ex-wife. That means at least you had a wife. Some people will never have a wife or a spouse. They'll never experience that. You got the experience. Okay, so it didn't end up the way you wanted it. You had it. You had the experience. Now what? Now what do you have? Well, I have kids out of it. Okay, great. So then you have kids. You got an iPhone X. You got kids. You got a stick of chewing gum in your pocket. What do you have? It's like almost like empty your pockets. What do you have? Because we can all sit here for hours and talk about what we don't have in our expectations in life. But it's like, but what do we have? Well, me and you right now, we have sunset in San Francisco over the bay. We have this place we're doing this podcast at. I mean, you drove me here in a car. There was gas in the tank. What do you have? To me, like the Tony Robbins, like all that shit doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I think, what do you have? It's the ultimate motivation. But I don't have but what do you have and build on that? What do you have?
Okay, and listening to what you said a little bit earlier, though, you also think having that edge. So it's what do I have, and what also keep the edge there.
And you keep the edge of like, okay, what do I have? Build on that. Like, I have a studio apartment. I'm going to change the drapes. I'm going to paint the thing. I'm going to appreciate the hell out of the studio. And maybe one day it'll be a house, and then I can appreciate that and do a garden and mow the lawn. But maybe that'll never happen. So I'm going to appreciate this studio apartment as long as I got it. I'm going to paint it maybe. I'm going to put a little artwork there. I'm going to change this up. Because it's just, people die and suffer life from what don't they have, what didn't they accomplish that they were supposed to. But the other side of that is it's never too late.
Yes. And I'm not talking just lover relationships, but do you find that with your relationships with people as well, where you have gratitude for what it is, but you also have an edge in that relationship where you're like, well, how can it be better?
Better and more, You always want to, I think until we die, we're always going to try to like better ourselves in some little way, do things a little better. If you eat bad, you're going to eat a little bit better. Even at 60, 70, you're going to, I have a weird obsession with watching elderly eat, like, because they enjoy it so much. That always fascinated me about babies enjoy food and like elderly really enjoy food. Like that's their only nutrients. And if you just sit and watch an elderly person eat, they just are just like, you can tell it's a necessity, and it's like they have nothing left but to enjoy that meal. Like that's what you got. I don't know. I have it's weird. I like watching elderly people eat a like barbecue or whatever, because they're just like, F it, man. Whereas so many people my age are like watching, the fat content, the saturated fats, the calories, but they don't know what's coming. 20 years from now, that shit does not matter. You ever see an elderly person like, well, what's in this? You put a plate of food in front of somebody like 80, they're just like, oh man, it's just good to have something. You know what I mean? And they really enjoy it. Like if you watch an elderly person eat, they're just like they just chew it and they just like, they're savoring it,
I will say I saw my grandmother and my great aunt and my father-in-law, who at the last few years of their life, they were kind of imprisoned by their body and their ability to physically move about on their own, and they didn't like it. So there is possibility that being conscious of what we're bringing into our body now is going to
affect you later on.
Right.
Then there's like, I believe the number one killer affecting your body is stress.
Yes.
So like, I have a lot of British friends, and their grannies are like 100, and they all
bangers.
Bangers. They drank gin and tonics and smoked cigarettes their entire life.
Right.
This girl's like, since I knew my grandma, she smoked. She had a gin and tonic at lunch and a cigarette every day, because that was their relaxation. That was their de-stressing. A glass of red wine, some people say, winds them down. Stress is the number one killer. It's not what's in your food. Yeah, there's some effects and stuff, but if you enjoy a certain food all the time and it's going to de-stress you, you're going to live longer and better and healthier, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Now obviously in moderation, like you don't, those people that they have to lift out of their house because they're so big, like they went overboard. Clearly it wasn't de-stressing them. They were stress eating, so they got big like that. So as long as you're not stress eating and you're eating certain things that make you happy, happiness is the enemy of stress. Just like garlic's the enemy of cholesterol. Like if you have high cholesterol, they tell you to eat garlic and niacin, because garlic's the sworn enemy of cholesterol. So happiness is a sworn enemy of stress. So ice cream may not be the best thing for you, but it makes a lot of people happy. I don't eat it. It doesn't make me happy, but it makes a lot of people happy. And that's what you got to do. It makes you happy, and it's not about, is it good for me? Is it bad? Is it healthy? Is it not? It's like, is it making you happy and not hurting you? Some people, a cocktail can make them happy and de-stress them and prolong their life. Some people can't stop at one cocktail, and it hurts their life and damages all their loved ones. They lie to them like addicts. So we're all different. Different things make us happy, you know, and you just gotta figure out what that is, and you know, really. And when you get down to the basics and you don't really have much, a well-known film director told me this. He said, I don't have a lot of wealthy friends. I like friends that don't come from much. I like workers that don't come from much. So why? He said, because all they can give you is themselves. And I was like, man, that's good. He said, all they have to offer is themselves. They can't offer you money and wealth and these things and big luxury. Like, they're just like, I'm here. This is all I can bring to the table. And that's enough, and that's more than enough, because that's all you need on a production, a movie shoot, trying to accomplish something. You need somebody there that just says, you got me, you know. Whereas other people, maybe with more money or whatever, you're limited on time. Hey, Greg, I got 5 minutes for you. I got part of me for you. Part of me's in this, paying attention. Whereas somebody that doesn't come for nothing, have anything, like, I'm here, Greg. I got nothing to lose because I have nothing. So let's do this, you know. So I thought that was interesting. It's something I'll take with me with film and stuff. It's like, because I've experienced that, and like my best PAs that have worked for me, they're just excited to be there, and they're just like, I got a little Honda Accord and I got some willpower. Let's do this, you know.
It's a beautiful world for you. It's a beautiful world, not me. It's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful world.